Welcome back to the Milwaukee Show, and today we are going to talk about night number one, or the true night number one. I don't care that night one or the beginning of the season was in Prague. Shouldn't be in Prague. The first game of the season should start in the homes of wherever the teams play at, because that's where the real fans are. That's where it should be, in the big arenas and all the hype is. But anyways, night number one is concluded last night, and here we are to talk about it, and I just want to give my thoughts on it. So let's get into it now. So first off, the St. Louis Blues versus the Seattle Kraken. Ending 3-2, winning, it was the St. Louis Blues, and they start their career, their years off nice with 1-0, and the Kraken 0-1. And this was an interesting game because it started off very strong for Seattle, and I mean very strong. They were just locking down the Blues overall. The Blues couldn't get anything going. No true zone time to get any offense going, and no good 2-on-1s or 3-on-2s. No interesting opportunities to get the momentum going their way. The Blues looked really flat. And they were just freaking chatting about it, I don't know why, it felt like freaking Ray Ferraro, who should be fired by now. I don't know how he still has a job. But they were just talking, Pavel Buchnevich, they're trying to make him a centerman. They kept trying to pump the tires of the Blues. I didn't get it, because the game was all Seattle, and they looked really good, right? But notably, though, it was not coming off. It was no one single player. It was a full team effort. Guys like Eberle definitely looked really good. They were fighting so hard, maybe not getting the biggest chances, but he was fighting out there. Burakovsky was kind of noticeable. Beniers a little bit too, but it was not on one guy's shoulders. It was the full team effort, and that's what you're going to want from Seattle. This is a team that is a full... When they were so good that one year and beat Colorado in the playoffs, it was because they were a perfect team. They were a mold. And this game started off that way, and they get the 2 goals for it, leading 2-0 going into the second period. I think it was going into the second period, but that second period blew up in the face of the Kraken, and the St. Louis Blues score 3 goals straight in a row, and the Blues just took over the game. The Kraken, it just completely flipped. It was halfway through the game, reverse script completely, and the Blues just dominated. The Seattle Kraken, it wasn't they looked bad, they just could get nothing. They did nothing, they weren't pushing the pace, the defense wasn't shutting anything down. It felt like the Blues momentum the entire final half, especially that third period. Just the Kraken, it just never felt like they were pushing the envelope either, right? And that's basically all I gotta say. But my big takeaway from this game is 2 things. One I forgot to put on the board. But first thing, neither of these two teams, and I know it's just game 1 of the season, looked very playoff worthy. The Kraken definitely still. Stevenson did not do very much in his first game. Montour looked good. But overall, the offense and the defense of the Kraken, and goaltending as well, just all the same cracks are still there, where Beniers not ready to be that true number 1 center. Stevenson isn't going to do too much. Shane Wright is barely NHL ready. Goaltending-wise, Philip Grubauer, not the guy. They just signed Joey Decord, which is interesting. 5 years for $5 million. Definitely a very not smart contract that could have been handed out, but they did it anyway. So the Kraken, same issues are still there. Things haven't changed, and to me, they're still whatever. And the Blues, still in the same place, I think. They're going to be another team where, sure, Robert Thomas, Buchnevich, and Kyrou, and whoever else you want to name, but those three top guys are great. I love Robert Thomas. I think Jordan Kyrou is a great goal scorer, and Buchnevich, if he was on a really good team, everyone would know his name. But I think that they just are not enough to carry the rest of this team. They're just the whole team as a whole is nothing. Jordan Binnington, who in my eyes, if Team Canada started today, would have to be their goaltender, because Stuart Skinner's not it. But overall, both these teams very mid, very middle of the pack. They're going to be 7 points from a wild card spot again, and it's just going to be another blah year for both of them. So that was game 1. Game number 2, though, the big game that I was excited for, the Panthers versus the Bruins. And no matter what, a hurricane was there or not, it is not going to stop the Florida Panthers from being defending champions, because they looked hot as hell last night. The banner raising was cool, love that. And they just got off right where they left off. Barkov looked unreal. Verhaeghe looked unreal. Tkachuk, he wasn't amazing last night, but he did have a couple of really good chances. Reinhart looked amazing. He had an amazing snipe. And I loved the thing about these players that the Panthers got on this team is that they're all so good both ways, right? Like Reinhardt and Barkov and Tkachuk, 3 guys who eat up so many minutes, almost basically on, if they're not on every other shift, then at least the whole entire game or whatever. One of those 3 guys could be out on the ice. And they are so good going both ways, right? Where I talk about other teams where, I'll say something about like the Maple Leafs, not the Maple Leafs, but like the Bruins, right? Is that they don't have all these guys like Sam Bennett and Tkachuk and Barkov and Verhaeghe and Reinhart, all these guys that could maybe contend for a Selke trophy, especially Barkov and Tkachuk and Reinhart, right? You look at the Bruins, and it's like Pasternak is such a offensive machine, right? Marchand's kind of good both ways. But it's like, you get to like the Coils and stuff. You want to talk about other teams that, or whatever, right? The Hurricanes, right? They don't have those two-way guys. They more lean in one direction. The Panthers are so lethal in both ends. They are just an iron dome in their own end, and they are just a ballistic missile in the other end. They're so good all around. And I know the score doesn't reflect this game very well. 6-4 is not how this game really went. This was a 6-2 game, if anything. Of course, the Bruins' final 2 goals, one of them is huge fluke. The other one was kind of like victim of circumstances, I feel like. The Bruins got lucky like 3 times. This is a 6-1 game. And the Bruins were flat, non-energetic, boring. Pasternak was barely noticeable. Marchand had a couple of interesting plays, but not really support to do anything with it. In the Giant defense they got back there really showed because they were slow, they were sluggish, and there was no energy. Like, it was just all around just a bad game for the Bruins. Bad game for the Bruins. And also, I don't care what Ray Ferraro, whoever the hell said it on the broadcast, but whichever commentator that ESPN just stupidly hired, saying that Korpisalo, no matter what his save percentage or whatever, how many goals he's let in or at this point in the game, where it was like 4 at that point, I think, they were like, he might have let in 4 goals, but he's playing a good game. No. A lot of, I don't know exactly which ones, but as I was watching the game last night, I was like, there was, like, the one Reinhardt one, where it's the shorthand, where he's just going down the left side, gets it on his forehand, top shelf, top corner, the other end, right? I think he might have got a piece of it. But those are the type of plays where you look for your goaltender to make that one good save. Not even one good save, just that one nab out of the air, and then just keep everything good for your team. He wasn't there a few times where he could have been. And the Evan Rodriguez goal as well. Like, he just cuts to the middle, shot, top shelf. Korpisalo did this with the Ottawa Senators as well. And I don't know, I guess there was this little bit of a debate online if it was like, oh, the Korpisalo isn't bad, the Senators were bad. No, I don't know if that is the main consensus among people, but there is no way. The Ottawa Senators last year were so bad because of Korpisalo. He lets in a lot of really bad goals, and he does come in clutch. He had a couple of really good saves, but these are all NHL goaltenders who are amazing nowadays, not like in the 1980s where guys like Gretzky can score 11 goals in a single game. These are goaltenders, amazing athletes that can make great saves, but just reliable, consistent goaltending was not there. Swayman should have held out a little bit longer, because if this is the performance they got in Game 1 for their starter right now with Korpisalo, Swayman could have pushed the envelope to at least like $10 million, especially if Shesterkin's going to get 13 or something, apparently. But overall, this game, Florida looks good, just looks as good as ever. Boston needs some energy, and it just really comes down to their top guys like Pasternak, but that's kind of the issue, is like, that's really all they've got. Pasternak, Marchand's getting older and slower, and not that he's like falling off a cliff, but he's not going to be that guy that puts so much energy into the game anymore. Like, it is down to the shoulders of a guy like Pasternak, and really, that's all the support they have. They don't have a lot of lethal offense, and Lindholm looked fine last night, but I definitely overestimated. I thought he was going to come in and was going to be like Fat Calgary Flames Lindholm. he is being Vancouver Lindholm, where it's just like he's a fine NHL player, but he's not pushing the envelope in any direction. So yeah. But then the inaugural game of the Utah Hockey Club, and I swear to God, I hope they're not the Yetis, but the game came out 5-2 for the Utah team, and Chicago is licking their wounds now because Utah killed them. Sort of. So 5-2, Utah wins it. And first of all, I gotta say, that pre-show by whoever that rapper was, or not, he wasn't a rapper, but whatever that whole pre-show was, I was just laughing. I couldn't hear the music over just laughing about it. It was so bad. No one in the crowd cared about the song. He said the main chorus part, and he's like, yeah, 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 and then two people were like, ah, yeah, and everyone was like, I'm kind of having a good time. It was so stupid looking. And then the way they were just PK Subban and that gang sitting out there, Mark Messier and his stupid Easter Island head. It was so bad. I hate ESPN so much. They just don't get hockey. It's so bad. But after they hype up the team, they go out there and the jerseys look okay. They look really, really like practice jerseys, but they looked fine. Connor Ingram, I like his helmet. They looked fine. They get on the ice, and they started playing really fine. They were dominating the Chicago Blackhawks, and it was good. It was very much in their favor. And the first goal ever scored by a Utah player goes to Dylan Guenther, as it should be, because this kid, I watched him a couple times. I think I saw him play for the Roadrunners once, maybe, and I think I saw him definitely play for the Coyotes once. And he looks so good. And this game showed he has incredible speed. He has a great vision for the ice of where to go on. And then his shot. This kid, I swear, as long as a Keller is there by his side always, this might be a kid that not this year, but in the next couple years, and he's still young. He's 20-something, 20 maybe, just 20, 21. He is going to be a Rocket Richard candidate for years to come, I think. Not this year, obviously, but in a couple years, I would not be surprised. He looks lethal when it comes to offense, and he was so good last night. And so was the whole team until a certain point. The second period, things changed giantly for Utah. I don't know if that excitement to start the game strong just went away, but Chicago took over that second period. But there's an issue with Chicago. They are so bad, they have no tools other than Bedard to put the puck in the back of the net. That one goal that Bedard assisted on was sweet. The way he just went past Sergachev, made that sweet pass right to the middle to, I think who was it? Was it Teravainen? Maybe it was. It doesn't matter. They just don't have the firepower to really get anything going. So they were turning the pace, but it's just they don't have killers. They don't have any finishers. Taylor Hall's out of his prime, apparently. Tyler Bertuzzi is just not that kind of guy. Bedard looked really good, but he had no support, and he has to play on his own. And he just has no one to play with. And a solid team like Utah can shut one guy down easily, and they did. But he gets 1 assist for the night, and my takeaway for this big one is that Utah is clearly not ready for a wild card spot. I heard PK Subban saying it. I think I heard someone else, and then especially online, a lot of people think Utah is a wild card potential team. I don't see it. I think this is a team that is still 10 points out of a wild card spot. Their defense is not there. They showed it this game, especially with Kesselring being back there. Definitely still some big holes. Ingram looked fine tonight, but once again, they played against Chicago, one of the worst teams possible in the NHL. So there's just a lot of holes that we saw last night, and it was against Chicago. Next game, they play, oh god, I missed who it was. I know they're playing Boston soon, and I know they were playing the Blues, I think, soon as well. But once they play some of these actual contending teams that are not as bad as Chicago, that's where I'm interested to see where the true weaknesses are. Because the offense tonight looked amazing, but Chicago's defense and goaltending is horrible. So I think they scored worse than the NHL last year, right? They were 2.2 goals a game. That's not going to cut it. And yeah, so overall, that's my takeaways, and that was night 1. So first night of hockey, incredible, very fun, and tonight is going to start in just a couple hours, so I'm excited for that. But that is my recap of night number 1. So if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. If you have, subscribe, please. And Too Sweet, I hope you have an amazing day. And ta-ta for now.